All right, we are recording. We are going here. I believe first portion of the evening here is we're going to start things off right with a little bit of bird trivia. So if I'm not mistaken, Nathan, you want to take this one away?
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Which of the following birds does not appear on the official seal of a U.S. state or territory? Out of the options, we've got bananaquit, osprey, bald eagle, golden eagle, harpy eagle, and brown pelican. And you'll see the answers up on the screen. So obviously, it's not bananaquit. It's not going to be harpy eagle. Those are a neotropical specialty. Brown pelican and golden eagle are two that are on state flags, but the answer is actually osprey. It's on no flags. So, and obviously the photo in the background is not of an osprey, it is of a house wren. But which mythical bird is Dumbledore in possession of? Maybe dump your thoughts in the chat. We'll give it a few seconds. Oh,
sorry about that. I'm
No
having
worries.
a little slide control issue here.
Well, for those that may have put in snowy owl, unfortunately it's incorrect. The answer is phoenix, a mythical bird that breathes fire, if I am correct, and very neat. But yes, as Stephanie mentioned, the mythical Henslow's sparrow. I would not get you the points, but we try.
I think that's Carl's way of tripping everyone up by showing a different bird than is associated with the question.
All right. Which two North American bird species, both of which regularly occur in Cook County, have the most numbers of subspecies on the continent? All right. So obviously the photo is of a bay-breasted warbler. I should not say obviously. It's actually a tough ID sometimes. But I see that few of us got that correct quickly. Song sparrow is one of them, and hornlark is the other. Song sparrows have 24 subspecies in the North America, possibly up to 52, which is pretty incredible. And hornlark, there's 21 in North America and actually 42 worldwide, which is pretty incredible as well. I know that they recently found a deceased horned lark that was found in the permafrost out in Russia that's thousands of years old, and they were able to actually identify it as a horned lark. And I'm sure it may actually not even be of the subspecies we have, but maybe the most common ancestor of two of them. So some pretty interesting science to be done there. But yes, bay-breasted warbler, not gonna cut it. So song sparrow and hornlark are your two answers there. And which is the most populous bird in the world? Now, this one's a good question that I have some trouble with. So robin, unfortunately, they're a North American species, but we're looking for worldwide here. Starling. The family starlings, you might get closer, but same with sparrows. But let's go for a species here. Steve Huggins with the red-billed Q. If you could get me that remaining letters on that Q word, you might be close. Quaila, Q-U-E-L-E-A. So that is one of them that would come to mind for me. I'm actually not sure which answer Carl put in as the most common species, but that is one of them. Does anyone else have any additional questions? Think maybe pelagic could be a hint as another option, but it does appear that red-billed quaila was the answer. I know Wilson storm petrel is another one that is often contested to be a very common global species, but this bird is an African species, the red-billed quaila, and they are numerous in, I believe, the billions. And are rumored to be the most populous in the world. The photo in the background is of a horned lark. And you can check the chat here. Stephanie was generous enough to put in an article that Carl likely referenced for the most abundant wild bird in the world, and obviously highlighting the red-billed quaila. It's estimated that there are 1.5 billion of them. Thank you, Stephanie, for the fact check. Appreciate the help. And so now we're going to order these bird families according to numbers of species on the ABA list, most to least. So remember, number of birds in the family, that's going to be bird on top, or family on top, and then the least number of birds in their family going to go on the bottom. So we got woodpeckers, sparrows, tyrant flycatchers, hawks, kites, and eagles, and hummingbirds. So remember, there's 5 answers here. Maybe try to type them in with commas, or if you put them in one at a time, if someone jumps in between, your answers might get lost. But we're looking for the most to least. So when we think about woodpeckers, how many woodpeckers are in the ABA? How many sparrows? How many tyrant flycatchers? How many hawks, kites, and eagles? And how many hummingbirds? Now, don't get distracted. The background photo is of a black and white warbler, not part of this quiz. Looks to be a female or an immature type, potentially a non-breeding bird. But
you're telling me the black and white warbler is not a woodpecker, the way it jumps up the tree like that?
You'd be surprised, but no, that could be an evolutionary trait, but no, they are not a woodpecker, nor are nuthatches, in case we're all curious. The answer here, I see we got some coming in, and you'll be able to verify them against them, but there are 47 tyrant flycatchers, which takes spot number 1. Sparrows comes in close with number 2. There's 44 of them. Hawks, kites, and eagles comes in a slightly distant 3rd at 33. Woodpeckers 4th at 25, and hummingbirds just slips into 5th at 24. So that's flycatchers, then sparrows, hawks, kites, and eagles next, woodpeckers, and then hummingbirds. And I will turn this back over to Edward. Take it away.
All right, everybody. So thank you all so much for joining us here this evening. I'm really excited about the lineup of events and just all the kinds of cool stuff we're going to go over this evening here. Here we have a kind of a quick mock agenda. You either saw that on the website or in the emails that we sent you to sign up and register for this evening. So I'm going to go ahead and get into my portion here. My name is Edward. I am the president of Chicago Ornithological Society. So if you have not met me, I'm sorry. I really want to meet you guys on the birding trail one of these days. Obviously, this was maybe not the year to do it, but I would love to get to know each and every one of you at some point in the future here. Go out looking for some birds with you guys. So first things first, I really want to highlight, before we really even get into the meat of anything, 2020 sucked. And I don't need to be the one to tell you that everybody in some way had issues with this year. It was not a great year for a lot of reasons, but in a lot of ways that puts a spotlight on how much more impressive and incredible some of the things we're going to talk about this evening are. This event is not a retrospective to look at how 2020 messed with all of our plans and best laid plans. This is an opportunity for us to celebrate all the things that we accomplished and managed to do in spite of all of that. Accomplishments that on their own would already be hella impressive, but in the light of this last year are even that much more amazing. So the first thing that I want to highlight here is that none of the amazing work we do, as amazing as we are, is done in a vacuum. Every single thing is done in partnership with another organization of some kind, whether that's land managers who actually own and manage the landscapes that we help to conserve for birds, or organizations that help us to do our programming or our conservation initiatives. We didn't have a teleprompter in the budget, so I'm going to refer to my notes here. But just a couple of really key organizations that we worked heavily with in 2020 that we'd like to acknowledge here before I even talk about anything else. Chicago Audubon Society, numerous different initiatives and programs. Illinois Ornithological Society, same deal. Chicago Park District, who were gracious hosts to numerous hikes throughout Chicago and have partnered with us on a number of different program initiatives and will continue to do so in the future. The Cook County Forest Preserves, again, gracious host that allowed us to go there at times after hours or to utilize the resources and centers in order to have really awesome birding experiences throughout Cook County and the Chicago area. Peggy Nodebart Nature Museum, which has been a fantastic host for not only our North Pond hikes for years and years and years, but have really stepped up in a big way to help us implement our compelling speakers programs. Friends of the Forest Preserves, who again have been long-term partners in our efforts to restore critical bird conservation habitat, and Friends of the Chicago River, similarly, who have been really key partners in all of our efforts surrounding the various river systems in our area and conserving those for birds. Feminist Bird Club, which has been a key part of us trying to broaden our audience and make sure that we're truly being inclusive to all people and making birds this a truly accessible activity. And then U.S. Fish and Wildlife and Illinois Department of Natural Resources, who without them, we simply wouldn't be able to do the work that we do involving specifically piping plovers, but any number of endangered or conservation concerned species in the region. So this is not an exhaustive list of the different organizations we work with, whether that's working on single events in partnership, or even people whose work just sort of parallels ours, but we end up intersecting in certain ways throughout the year. None of this work, birding, conservation, all of it, none of it happens in a vacuum by itself. The only way that we're successful going forward is because of really strong partnerships. And I want to give a huge shout out to all of these partners and many that I didn't get a chance to mention here for all of the work that you've done to make it possible for us to succeed at what we're doing. So thank you so much. So next up, I would also actually like to acknowledge our sponsors for this evening, folks who we've probably worked with in the past in different capacities and have now stepped up in a way to appreciate you guys as members here. So a couple we've got here are Cornell Lab of Ornithology. Oh wow, I should be able to say ornithological easily. Cornell Lab of Ornithology, which is offering a 20% discount on all of their online courses. Imperial Oak Brewery, which was offering 25% off of all of their beers for the 2 weeks leading up to this program. So I hope you guys had a chance to get down there and get your brew. Red Hill Birding, which will be raffling off 2 hats to a lucky COS member, and has also just been a fantastic partner in our field trips and virtual programming throughout 2020. Era's Brewery and Cider House, which is offering a free 5-ounce drink with any purchase of food when you visit their brewery. They've also been host 2 previous annual meetings when we could do this in person. So again, big thank you to them to continue to work with us and partner with us. And Wild Birds Unlimited, which is offering 50% off of feeders, houses, and baths to COS members. So all of these partners are offering these exclusive to COS members, Chicago Ornithological members. We will be following up with everybody here with an email afterwards where to find those discounts and the codes appropriate to get those deals. And if you are not a member, why not? There's a lot of awesome reasons to be a part of COS, including getting some really fantastic perks from these many partners here. All right, so next up, the actual reason why the annual meeting is even a thing. Obviously, we have blown it up to be a celebration of all things birds, but according to the state, the most important thing that we really accomplish here, and the only thing we need to accomplish here, is acknowledging our board. So a ballot was sent around, I have about a month ago at this point now, to vote in our new board members here. And I'm proud to say that we were all unanimously elected. You guys clearly like us enough to keep us on the job here and keep doing what we're doing. I would like to look back, though, at our 2020 board and volunteers, people who were critical to this work. We really like to emphasize that all of these people are volunteers. I'm a volunteer. All of these officers are a volunteer. This is all volunteer time that makes this work, where none of us are paid staff. Every dollar that you guys contribute via your membership goes to our work as an organization, whether that's conservation efforts, programming, supplies, partnerships. All of that goes directly into bird conservation and birding work in some form or fashion. So in particular, I would like to highlight a couple of folks here. Our board normally has about 16 members. We have a few that are actually stepping down this year, so to pursue other projects or other commitments. So in particular, we'd like to say farewell to Bob Dolgan, Chris Mikulik, and Amanda Tikacek. All 3 of them are leaving the board this year, but all have contributed for many years to this board in various capacities: fundraising, leading trips, conservation programs. Their impact and work on this board, I can't stress enough how valuable and important it is. And certainly to me as one of the newer members of the board here, being fantastic friends, mentors, and allies in this conservation and birding journey that we're all on together here. So thank you all so much, Bob, Chris, Amanda. We really appreciate your contributions. And please don't be strangers. We hope that you will continue to stay involved with COS and bring your awesome skills to bear. So Thank you very much. We have our new board, which is sworn in with currently 13 members. You saw some of those folks there on that previous slide. I'd also like to give a quick shout out to some of our board members who rocked some big years this year, in particular Nathan Goldberg and Aaron Tedesco, who both set state records. Aaron Tedesco, the state big year record for a woman, and Nathan Goldberg, who set the state big year record. And I apologize here publicly that I misstated Nathan's total number in an email that I sent out the other day. What was the correct number? 341?
341.
341 birds. So hot damn, my bad. That's what that came out to. And let's see, I'm just consulting my notes here. Okay, right, yeah. So moving around along. So the next big thing that came out of 2020 was some pretty awesome achievements that, when pushed and shoved and put in a position where we needed to adapt and change, we did. So one of the big accomplishments that we pulled off this year that we didn't think we were going to, but we managed to do it anyway, was our Big Marsh bird banding station. So this was a project that we had been developing for a while, and we're excited to start in 2020, and almost didn't happen, but a crew of very dedicated scientists went ahead, made it happen. We had our first successful bird banding season at Big Marsh, and we'll continue to do that. This is a long-term monitoring project we're going to be doing at Big Marsh for years to come. Additionally, LaBagh Woods, our core keystone conservation project that we've been at for several years now, put their 4,000th shrub in the ground in 2020. Wow, that's a lot of work. And if you've never been on a shrub planting day, then let me tell you, it's exhausting work, it's time intensive, and it takes time. Oh, darn it, Jeff, am I misquoting that? Not quite 4,000. We're getting there, we're close. Almost there. Okay, all right, fine. Well, I don't want to spoil anything because one of our breakout sessions is about LaBagh work, and they will tell you all about that. But again, the work that we've done there at LaBagh to get to this point, that diligent year after year consistent work, is incredible. And the fact that we were still able to find ways to pull off all of that important work, even in a pandemic year, is amazing. So thank you to all of those volunteers who make that happen, allow us to do that work there. And then, believe it or not, the thing that everybody thought wasn't going to happen, we actually passed a bird safe building ordinance. Is it the best ordinance in the world? No. But you know what? It's a fantastic start to making our city a truly bird safe and friendly city. So Ben, another session that's coming up later in this evening to talk all about that, what that means, what it does for buildings now, and where do we go from here to make it even better. So these are some of the big flagship accomplishments that we pulled off this year, and along with a whole slew of other fantastic things. But these are really up there, just like, we did it. We nailed it. Nailed 2020. Next slide. And then finally, you guys. We talked about partnerships and all of these fantastic projects, but the reality is that none of this would happen without you guys, the members. And that's part of why we do this, other than just officially by state records voting in a board. We also do this to celebrate you as members, because every single one of you, whether that's your membership dollars or your participation in a field trip or coming to help out with a shrub planting, or even just liking and sharing our posts, all of that goes into this collective community that allows us to do what we do. It allows us to pull off a fantastic feats of thousands of shrubs in the ground, a bird banding station, conserving plovers in the busiest beach in the Great Lakes. These are all things that are only possible because of you, the members, and we can't stress enough how much we appreciate that. That's what gets us out of bed every day at the end of the day, is going forward with our bird conservation efforts with you guys behind us, the wind in our sails. So thank you all so very much. Just a little top corner there is Twitter reached 2,000 followers. So that was like my first big contribution when I joined the board, which was breathing life into our Twitter account. So I had to brag a little bit there. But anyway, all right, next slide. And finally, adapting in 2020 were a lot of different new things that we tried out. We tried a new virtual series. This whole virtual thing is new for all of us. And the Birds and Bites program, I think, has been a really great success. You can still view all of those recordings if you missed any of them on our YouTube page and via our website. Compelling speakers, which traditionally an in-person program, we also brought to a virtual stage, and we're able to bring a number of those to you again in 2020 when we thought, oh, we were just going to have to cancel them. We found a way around that, and we're still able to pull those events off. I don't know if you guys recall, but fairly early in the year, we sent out a survey to you guys. And it was a very basic survey, but it was a really important survey because it gave us a sense of what kinds of priorities are to you guys. What do you want to see us doing? What do you think we do well? What do you think we do poorly? And that was a really important component of us learning about you guys and members, but allowing us to also grow as an organization because of your responses. We're going to be able to move forward in a meaningful way that does the best conservation based on the vision that you guys, the members, have for this organization. Remember, we're volunteers and we're a member-driven organization, so we always want to hear from you guys about what matters most. And then, you know what? We actually pulled off a few field trips despite everything. I would like to point out that I'm really proud of our organization for how quickly we canceled in response to the science and the situations, how long we stayed canceled, but then also when we brought those trips back, how we did them safely with reduced group sizes, increased leader amounts to reduce the amount of groups interacting, and also keeping our distancing and masks on. Amongst another number of different strategies to help make the bird walks safe for everyone, but also still an enjoyable experience. We're there for the birds and being able to point things out and share information. So I'm incredibly proud of what COS has done this year on the field trip front. Yeah, we didn't get as much as we wanted in, and that means that I couldn't go out on bird walk with each and every one of you this year. But the reality is that we did a fantastic job with those, given the cards we've been dealt. And I really look forward to resuming trips again in 2021 when the science says that it's safe to resume doing so. Do I have any more slides? I forget. No? All right, cool. So finally, just a last shout out to you guys. You know, this is a volunteer board, but there are a lot of ways to be involved with COS beyond just joining the board. If you are interested in joining the board, please send us an email and let us know. But there are lots of other ways you can get involved with us and our work and still make a big impact for birds. Big examples are our work at Big Marsh and the Calumet Project, which is kicking off. You can learn more about that in one of the breakout sessions, hint, hint. Additionally, for example, Plover Watch. If Monty and Rose return or even more plovers return, fingers crossed, we will be needing volunteers to help with that process and monitor them this year. You can be on the lookout for that call. I guess additionally, trips and field trips. We always need people to help lead those. And you don't have to be an expert birder, frankly, to lead a field trip. Just somebody who's excited about what you do, know how to flip through a field guide, and be able to guide people around different sites and parks in the pursuit of birds. So any aspect of our work that you're interested in learning about, contributing to, or possibly helping with, please let us know. Send us an email at chicagobirder@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you and get more people involved in the work that we do. Again, this is a community, and we would love to have all of you contributing in some way meaningfully to drive this organization where we all want to go as a collective. So thank you guys so much for listening to me here. I'm a little bit over my time here. So we're going to go ahead and kick it off into the next portion of the evening. Our outgoing board member, Bob Nogan, he couldn't get rid of us that quickly. So we've got him doing our birding year in review. So I'm going to queue up a video here to get you guys pumped up for a retrospective in 2020. And I will be signing out here. Thank you guys so much. Please, if you have any questions at all, continue to put them in the chat, send us an email, and we will be with you in just a moment here. All right, Bob, take it away.
All right. Hopefully that didn't just blast out your eardrums, but that's our introduction to the year in review. And that was music by the Beastie Boys and featured the photography of Scott Judd, Nathan Goldberg, Jamie Burning, Jeff Bilski, Jeff Scritney, Steve Huggins, Edward Warden, and Aaron Tedesco. I think that covers everybody. Thank you so much for sharing those images from what was an incredible year. So I'm going to flip over to my screen and bring in my Tom Lally turned up his volume. I love it. We're going to I'm going to introduce my my partner here, Josh Engel, who he and I have worked on This Week in Birding and done webisodes going back to the spring. And we've been talking about what we had been talking about early in the year as to like what the milestones were in 2020. It was just an unusual year for birding, and we had a whole bunch of milestones already before this point in the year, before the year ended, and then a lot of interesting things happened in the fall. So just by way of introduction, I'm Bob Dolgan. I'm the founder of Turnstone Strategies. I'm the maker of a film, Monty and Rose, a documentary about Chicago's piping plovers, and I write the This Week in Birding newsletter. And Josh is the founder of birding tour company Red Hill Birding. And I don't see Josh on my screen. I see
I'm here.
Here. There he is.
You should
Okay.
be able to hear me.
All right. Thanks, Josh. Okay, here we go. So the year in review. Thanks so much, Josh. It's a thrill to be together. And we also are both the proud owners of Budgies, as we determined earlier today. We're not going to talk about Budgies. So top 5 moments. So these were a few things that we had already had, and we're not going to really go into them. But if you have other thoughts, please put them in the chat. But there's all sorts of amazing things that happened in 2020. So we're just going to kind of dive in and go to some highlights. And COVID-19, what can be said about this? It was pervasive, and it made a difference on so many levels in terms of birding. And one of the great things is that we could still go birding, and while socially distant, it was still possible to bird. And there was also an increased level of interest in the pursuit of birding. And I think we saw that throughout the year in a lot of media coverage. So Josh, do you have some thoughts to add to that also?
Yeah, you know, the safest place to be almost apart from your own home was being outside this year. So birding was a great activity, and it really seemed to catch the public imagination to some extent. And it was a big year for birding in the media.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it's duly noted that you would be in South Africa right now, if not for the COVID pandemic. So we'll move to our top 5. Number 5 is Monty and Rose. This is a pair of birds that are near and dear to my heart. And I'd say that, you know, if you had told us like 2 years ago that piping plovers would nest in Chicago for 2 consecutive years, not many people would believe you. And the fact that they had 2 chicks in 2019 and 3 in 2020, and that those 3 chicks, you know, made it to fledging and were all identified on their wintering grounds is incredible. And I think it still needs to be celebrated, and it's you know, something that that we should all be so proud of in making sure that these birds have been able to nest out there at Montrose. And
in a year that, you know, COVID touched everything, it felt like we were really in the depths of it over the summer, and it was great to have a good news story, feel-good story for everyone in the birding community and, you know, in the wider community, to know that this was going on at Montrose, and that because of COVID, the birds were unmolested and had a relatively easy time of it this year. And that volunteers were still able to go. You know, hopefully next year more people will be able to volunteer and get involved with that, but there was still some sense of community brought to it through the volunteers and their efforts.
Yeah, for sure. And it was just such a different year out there, but the fact that the beach was vacant and you know, there was more space available seemingly was a really good thing in general. There are also more predators out there, but in general, this was a good thing after a year where they had a lot less space and a lot more threats in 2019. So we'll go to number 4. Oh, that's not good. And that's the fall. Oh, yeah, fall vagrants. So it was an incredible fall. We had a great kiskadee at Channahon. We had Eurasian widgeon down there. We had Western tanager, and I think that the great kiskadee would count as a mega in the parlance, right? This is a mega. This was a bird not before seen in the state. And, why did all these birds show up at the same time in Channahon, this little sort of nondescript area of Will County near the Des Plaines wide waters? Could be debated, but I think maybe there's some reason for that. Josh, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
I have no reason for that at all, but I should say that there was sort of a lot of moaning among some birders earlier in the year about how poor a year it was for vagrants, and for really crazy out of range birds to showing up, and that all seemed to change come October, early November, when felt sort of like it was one after the next after the next. And there's this wonderful birding term, the Patagonia picnic table effect, which is named for the Patagonia picnic table in southeast Arizona, where birders I think it was 1 year, and they found one vagrant, and so a lot of other birders showed up and found another one, and then another one, and that happened very much in the Channahon area that you just mentioned. A Eurasian widgeon was found. A lot of birders got to go and see it, and then all of a sudden there was a great kiskadee there. And there's a great story with Steve and Nathan re-finding that a few days later. And then that bird disappeared, and then a Western tanager showed up, all in what's, a relatively nondescript area. It's not Montrose. There's not some obvious geographical feature there that brought all of these birds. And we saw that effect also, I think, to some extent in Saganashkee Slough and the Palos Forest Preserves, with people continually going to see. There was eared grebe there and redneck grebe, and it was attracting a lot of birders stopping by there, who also ended up finding a little gull and a Savins gull, and a golden eagle flew over while there were birders there looking at these other things. So it was really an exciting fall for those who like rare birds and like going out and chasing after them.
Yeah, definitely. And Patagonia, Arizona, when I first heard that, I was like, oh, that must have something to do with South America, but that is Patagonia, Arizona, Southeast Arizona, amazing habitat right along the Mexico border. And I assume a lot of birders there as well. So that was number 4. So we'll go to number 3, and that is our winter finches. And it's been an amazing year. It's something maybe not seen for 40, 50 years in the area in terms of the winter finch eruption that has taken place as the birds have come south. And we've had some amazing, species around, like evening grosbeak, and both crossbill species, and some of our more regular winter species like common redpolls and pine siskins. But I mean, it has been an outstanding year, although it's funny because even now I feel like we're kind of on the we haven't seen near as much activity from the winter finches, or at least as many sightings here in Chicago recently. A lot of this was sort of a fall phenomena, actually. But it, just to see, I mean, look at this amazing photo of an evening grosbeak. What a stunning bird. To have this in our area, right, at all is just a pleasure. So
yeah, one of the really cool things about that was that with technology today, we're sort of able to watch it unfold. We could see them through reports coming our way. So there was a lot of anticipation before these birds even started showing up in Chicago itself, with reports of them around Lake Superior, coming down the eastern Great Lakes. So that was a really cool thing to see, because a lot of us were ready and anticipating it. And like you said, a lot of them just passed through, but we had enormous numbers of some of them passing through. I mean, there are accounts of hundreds and hundreds of pine siskins flying down the lakefronts, maybe even over 1,000 some days. Big flights of white-winged crossbills, really amazing numbers of evening grosbeaks that we haven't seen since the 80s probably. So yeah, it was very exciting. I think I just saw a chat pop up that some of these birds are going to be coming back north at some point. All these siskins that were everyone's feeders back in October, November kept going south. Now they're seeing big numbers in the southeastern US, but those birds are going to come back north. Hopefully the evening grosbeaks will do the same. So it'd be really cool to get a little bit of the spring effect of this too. And there's some indications that, you know, with the evening grosbeaks, at least, it could be that their population is increasing as well. So maybe we'll get some leftover, some probably not as big numbers, but maybe we'll continue to see some evening grosbeaks, which have been, see some evening grosbeaks in subsequent years, which would be an amazing change because they've basically been absent for the last couple of decades.
That would be amazing. And maybe, I wonder if anybody in the chat could also kind of, who wants to predict, like, when is the mass movement going to be back? When should we be ready? Will it be in March? Will it, you know, is it later than that? So moving on to our number two. This was a bright spot in 2020. As Edward said, 2020, not a great year, but we had some amazing big years, and in spite of everything going on, and just from left to right and sort of clockwise here, we have Erin Tedesco, who we've already mentioned, but setting the big year record for a woman in Illinois. And one that we haven't mentioned yet was Bo Schaefer up in Lake County doing a green big year and identifying as many birds as possible by bike and on foot, and traveling 6,000 miles in that process is incredible. And just it's sort of mind-boggling. And then we have Nathan and his state big year record, topping Steve Huggins by one species, right? Like, was it a Kirtland's warbler? Is that it? A Kirtland's warbler of all things too. I find that funny. And then Issa O'Brien, who set a Cook County big year record in a year with a lot of obstacles, and just was so persistent in sticking with that. So you know, there are like bright spots despite the tough times.
Yeah, and to some extent, some of them were able to take advantage of newfound flexibility in their work or school schedules to get out a little bit more, chasing things. You know, Isu's record, I think he has told me that it's not just the Cook County big year record, but the record number of birds seen in one year in any Midwestern county. So that's pretty darn impressive.
Yeah. So our number one, get ready, here we go. And one of the things that I think about birding is that it's about birds, but it's also about people. And I think for 2020, that Black Birders Week was an incredible accomplishment and should be celebrated. And I think one of the realizations that I've had personally is that, you know, not everybody has the same privilege to experience nature in the same way and to go into spaces and feel comfortable and safe in them. And this was this came out of something that was a dark moment in 2020 with the Central Park incident that took place, the really harassment of Christian Cooper. But you had people like Karina Newsom, who's photographed here, who are among the organizers and just said, hey, we belong in nature as well, and that people of color and you know, people of color belong in nature just as much as anyone else. And that what I think is amazing is that there's an opportunity to celebrate more people birding, and this hopefully is just the start of something.
Yeah, it was incredible to see birding raised to this level in a national discussion, a very meaningful national discussion. You know, of course, birders will argue about, you know, the origins of vagrant birds and, you know, bird lists and all sorts of different stuff that we love talking about in the birding community. But it was amazing to have something that was so meaningful to birders, but also part of a national conversation, because the Christian Cooper incident happened around when George Floyd was killed.
Right.
And so it was amazing. It was really interesting and I think impactful for a lot of us to see this discussion involving, you know, a birder and birding in such a meaningful way.
Yeah, for sure. And Christian Cooper was named one of the Outsiders of the Year by Outside Magazine, and I've subscribed to that magazine for years, and I've rarely, if ever, seen birding even mentioned. So, like, I mean, talk about turning something negative into a positive, but also just I think acknowledging that, you know, and I think I'll just say COS does an amazing job of educating everyone about birding and being a welcoming space, but there's always more that can be done to introduce more people to birds and share that joy of birding. And so hopefully this is just something that is built upon, and I think that it was one of the big highlights of the year. And I also want to note, I saw that Greg Neese commented on the Great Kiskadee. I think there's, what is it, honeysuckle? There's a huge, perhaps one of the reasons the Kiskadee was there was the wealth of, is that invasive, like invasive honeysuckle over there at the Des Plaines Wide Waters?
Well, now that the
Oh,
previously planned MC has arrived, I apologize for that, everyone. Thank you, Nathan, for filling in here. A little calendar snafu on my part, but hopefully everyone enjoyed the first round of questions, and Lindsay's going to load up the next round here. And I guess, you know, people have been putting their answers in chat, so tried to get questions for a variety of interests and birding levels, and hopefully find it interesting and fun. So fire away, Lindsay. Question number 1. So which raptor's Latin species name, and I've practiced Gemicensis, anyone know how to correctly pronounce it? Gemicensis, reflects its first being described in Jamaica. So this is kind of an odd one, I think, considering how ubiquitous. I'll give a little hint. Okay, some people are getting it. Okay, people are up on their Latin names there. But yes, the red-tailed hawk. You know, something that, so you can go to, yeah, kind of, you know, pretty ubiquitous throughout Cook County and Illinois and really the U.S. But its Latin name refers to Jamaica, where it was first described. And thank you, Stephanie, for that, you know, second grade appropriate banding code. Okay, next one. The original star of the movies and mobile game Angry Bird was based on what bird species? Okay, I can see who wastes a lot of time here on their cell phone playing games. That is correct. Got a few answers. The northern cardinal. All right, question number 2. Order the 3 swan species that occur in Cook County from largest average wingspan to least. This is actually kind of surprising to me when I was looking this up, so give everyone a chance to think about it. I think most people should probably be able to get the largest one. Give everyone a minute here. Got some answers coming in. Remember, largest to least, so biggest to smallest. Okay, give just another minute. People think about it. Yeah, black swan. Thank you, Steve. Okay, well, according to Birds of the World, it is actually mute, trumpeter, and tundra. Yeah, I kind of always in my head thought, you know, oh, of course it's mute, but I didn't realize how close the average wingspan of a trumpeter swan is to mute swan, and kind of how, you know, tundra is the runt of the group. So go figure. Okay, according to eBird, what is the least birded county in Illinois? So I know we got some hardcore county listers on here. Be interested to see what they say. And I actually brought up the county list on eBird here. So I'll, once we get some answers. So I think everyone is well aware that Cook County is the most birded county, with, I believe, somewhere over 315,000 checklists filed. But coming in at number 102, of course, Mr. County Lister himself, Nathan, got it. Clay County. Remarkably, Clay County, only 136 checklists filed there as compared to Wayne County, which is 101 at 304. So quite a disparity in the difference there. So all you county listers, go hit Clay County up and get it back on the map. That's a heck of a tick for Clay County, Steve. Okay, who am I? I'm considered one of the greatest North American conservation successes. I'm one of 2 members of the genus Melagris. I have no feathers on my head, and I can swim. Okay, give guys just a minute here.
While you guys are working on that, I apologize. I just opened the breakout rooms. The hosts are going into them. Don't
Okay.
accept that invite to go to your breakout room just yet. We're going to finish up trivia here first.
Okay, so the answer to this one, Lindsay, is wild turkey. Remarkably, they can swim. Meleagris, there's only one other member of the genus, and that's the ocellated turkey, bird of South America. And yeah, you know, I think we're seeing this a little bit in Cook County here as wild turkeys kind of move back into the area. But you know, they were hunted pretty heavily, and their recovery has been, you know, a huge North American conservation success story. So yeah, so I think, I can't remember, is that question 4 or 5? Do we have one more? Okay, yep, so that's it. So we'll do one more round of trivia after the, I think after the breakout sessions. Is that right, Edward?
That is correct. Yeah. So you guys should have all received an invite to a breakout room if you responded to the email I sent out earlier today. So if you've got that invite, go ahead and head on in. For those of you folks who didn't get a chance to respond to my email, no worries. I sent it very late this afternoon. Please put in the chat which breakout room you would like to be going to. So the options are Calumet Bird Banding, LaBagh Restoration Project, and the Bird Safe Buildings Project. Please go ahead and put that in the comments, and I will get you right on it.
All right, thanks everybody for coming back. We're still looking, gathering everybody back from their breakout rooms, so just hold tight. We'll be entering the next session momentarily. This one's going to be our various awards. It's looking like our meeting is repopulating about now. So just for those who are joining us right now, hold tight for one moment, and Edward is going to kick us off with our LaBagh Awards. Edward, I think you're good to go.
Alrighty, here we go. I think Jeff explains it pretty well what we're doing here, but we always give at these annual meetings the conservation awards for some folks who have really gone above and beyond for conservation.
Hello, and welcome to LaBagh Woods, one of my favorite places in all of Cook County. And yes, you might hear some traffic or some planes go over, but we are here this year with this illustrious group of volunteers to award this year's group of Order of the Buckthorn recipients, inductees, who are going to be receiving today's Chicago Ornithological Society Bird Conservation Award for the outstanding leadership and example they provide to us as volunteers with the Forest Preserve of Cook County Restoration Program. Here at LaBagh Woods, we've been doing restoration since October of 2014, when a number of different groups came together to form what was then called the Centennial Volunteers. Through the Centennial Volunteers, we created our leadership team, and our team is composed of about 20 individuals who come out and do restoration regularly. Over the 6.5 years, approximately, that we've been doing restoration work, we've engaged more than 2,000 volunteers while we've taken out thousands of buckthorn and many other invasive species and planted into the ground almost more than 3,000 native shrubs and small sub-canopy trees. We're very proud of the work that we've done, and we could not do it without our volunteers, most of whom come from our community, our neighborhoods, and who have found us through a number of different means to join us. Of those almost 2,000 volunteers, a small group of them are recognized by their peers for being the example of what a great volunteer is, and because of their great work, their peers recognize them with the Chicago Ornithological Society's Bird Conservation Award. And today we have 4 new inductees, the class of 2020, and that is Mike, Joel, Dave, and Dan. And we're very proud of the work that they do, the example they set, and we're thrilled to have them on our team doing restoration work here, and now members officially of the Order of the Buckthorn doing restoration at LaBagh Woods. Thanks. So for our first award for the Chicago Ornithological Bird Conservation Award in 2020, we are proud to welcome Mike Andrews to the Order of the Buckthorn. And Mike joined us in the fall of 2017 when he became a recently retired individual, and he had some time that he wanted to give back to the community. So Mike, before we officially induct you into the Order of the Buckthorn, can you tell us a story or anything about why you keep coming back and joining us? Because we're very pleased to have somebody, a volunteer like you, working with us regularly.
Well, I love the camaraderie, but also just to see the fruits of your labor. You go out, you cut buckthorn, you help to build paths, you line paths, you plant things, you clean out cages, and you go back in a year or two and you see just how great it looks. I mean, even in a short period of time, it's amazing what a small group of people can do.
Yeah, I agree with you, and that's fantastic. And with example like yours, we would like to welcome you as one of the very few members of the Order of the Buckthorn with this Chicago Ornithological Society Bird Conservation Award. And with this medallion, you officially become one of the members of the Order of the Buckthorn. Congratulations, and thank you for your very fine example. And to have something for you to remember your work here at LaBagh, we made a picture of you doing your damage out in the forest to do the restoration that we all need. So thank you, Mike. We appreciate your service very, very much. Welcome again. We're still here at LaBagh Woods, and we're inducting our 2020 volunteers into the Order of the Buckthorn. And the next person that we have up is Joel McFarland. And Joel McFarland is joining the class of 2020 inductees who are receiving the Chicago Ornithological Society Bird Conservation Award for their outstanding example as a volunteer doing restoration, preservation, and conservation work here at LaBagh Woods with an avian-based focus. So Joel, welcome to the Order of the Buckthorn.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a quick story about how you got involved or why you stay involved with us? Because we're really happy to have you as the example volunteer for us here at LaBagh Woods.
Sure thing. I started volunteering here in fall of 2017 after moving to Chicago from Washington, D.C. And when I got here, I didn't know a lot of people in the area, and so I was looking around for some volunteer work to do in environmental restoration. And I found this group, and it's just become a really great way to meet like-minded people who are concerned about the environment and show up week after week and do the work. I've been really grateful to be a part of the group.
Well, we're glad to have you, Joel. And with this medallion, you will officially become another Order of the Buckthorn inductee, and we are very glad to have you as part of our team. Thank you for all that you do for us. And just happen to have this photo of you with your husband and a friend, and we're glad that you were able to come out and join us and get them involved with us as well. So thank you very much. Hi, welcome back. We're still at LaBagh Woods. We're having a great time this afternoon. It's a beautiful Friday, and we are awarding the class of 2020 Order of the Buckthorn Bird Conservation Awards. And with me now is Dave Katzman, who we are inducting into the Order of the Buckthorn this afternoon for his work. He started with us in the fall of 2018, and one of the first things that I learned about Dave is that he cheers for a different football team than I do. And I made the mistake of once photocopying over his t-shirt my team instead of his team and publishing that photo, and I've had to hear about it ever since. But despite our football team differences, we are very focused on doing great work here, and Dave, along with the other inductees this year, is one of the great examples of somebody who does outstanding work as a volunteer here at LaBagh, and we're glad to have him as a recipient of the Chicago Ornithological Society Bird Conservation Award. Dave, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim.
Can you tell us a little bit about how come you do your work here with us?
In the summer of 2018, I took a 9-day vacation to Alaska, and like many folks who go to Alaska, I came back with nature fever. And I started thinking to myself, how could I participate in natural activities here in Chicago? And then I remembered very quickly about LaBagh Woods, our little slice of nature in the middle of the city. And I quickly signed on board to volunteer, and I got hooked right away. Just coming out and seeing how the experienced volunteers set great examples to not only neighborhood volunteers, but groups of school children who would come and at first would not be interested, but due to the input from the leaders would quickly start seeing the value of their contributions to our efforts. And it was great to see the awareness spread, and I wanted to participate in that. And I truly enjoy coming out as often as I can to help restore LaBagh Woods to its former glory.
Well, Dave, you are now one of the leaders and one of the examples that everyone looks to, and we're glad to have you on the team. And with this presentation of this medallion, you officially become a member who is the Order of the Buckthorn. And we'd like to share this photo of Dave doing his Burn Boss training from early in his work with us. And again, my sincere appreciation on behalf of all the volunteers at LaBagh for the great volunteer work you do with us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Welcome to the Order of the Buckthorn. Good afternoon. We're still at LaBagh Woods. Can you believe that? It's a fantastic Friday afternoon, and we are now inducting the last person from the class of the 2020 Bird Conservation Awards that are made annually by the Chicago Ornithological Society. And our last inductee of the day is Dan Kastberger. Dan, congratulations.
Thank you, Jeff.
We would like to welcome you to the Bird Conservation Award that we're thrilled to give you for the example that you share with all of us of leadership, action, and restoration for the birds here at LaBagh Woods. So Dan, how did you find us, and what keeps you coming back?
Well, I realized in being somewhat retired that I needed to spend more time outside, and in the winter of 2018, I decided as my Christmas wish to get out in the woods more. So, knowing that we have the most spectacular forest preserve district run by the Cook County, and enjoying it previously, I looked them up, found the volunteer link, came out here, and there you were.
There we were.
Then spring came, and it became so obvious that the results that I started on just a couple of 100 feet south of here We're clearing up the area and making more room for the animals and birds. And it was just sensational to see it grow. So I keep coming, keep cutting, keep growing.
And we're glad to have you keep coming.
Yay.
With this medallion, you officially become a member of the Order of the Buckthorn, along with your 4 peer inductees today. And as a little reminder of the work that you've done with us, we have this photo of you brandishing a Clippers, and no doubt doing plenty of good restoration work. Thank you, Dan. We appreciate having you as part of our restoration team, and we love you for the leadership that you bring to LaBagh Woods.
Well, I'm glad to be here, and I hope the birds enjoy, and everybody comes out to see them.
Yay!
All right, big round of virtual applause for all of our inductees to the Order of the Buckthorn. Thank you guys so much for all of your dedicated work making the LaBagh Project what it is. We really, truly could not do it without any of you. And again, to any of those folks who are in the LaBagh breakout session or just in general are inspired by the work that's being done there, this is all volunteer powered work, and we could always use more folks helping with that project. So please reach out to us with questions of any kind. We're going to go ahead and pass it over to COS VP Vice President Aaron Tedesco now to give you guys a taste of what we are at work planning for the new year, 2021. Aaron, go ahead and take it away.
Cool. Thanks, Ed. Yeah, we've got some really awesome stuff coming up. First, we're going to start field trips again, as long as nothing drastic changes in the wrong direction. We're going to resume in-person field trips in March. We're going to start with some woodcock walks because those have been very popular. And since we have to have small trip sizes, we're going to run 3 of them at Air Station Prairie, Big Marsh, and Wolf Road Prairie. So those will be posted on the website soon, along with all the other ones. We're going to do our favorite spots again: LaBagh Woods, Humboldt Park, Skokie Lagoons. But we're also really excited to be doing some walks at new places, including the newly named Douglas Park with 2 S's, Jurgensen Woods, and Marion Burden's Park, which I think is just north of Big Marsh a little bit. So we're also going to do some bird walks in Spanish and in Polish this year. So if you have ideas about how to help us get the word out to our target audiences, please message me. That would be very helpful, because we're really excited about that and want to get that out there to everybody. In addition to the in-person walks, we're still going to do Birds and Bites, which are our online presentations. We don't have any dates set yet, but the topics will be gardening for birds, bird-driven habitat restoration, what it means to be a bird-friendly building, and conversations with veteran birders. Hopefully we'll get Greg Neese right away in February. So watch for those. They'll be posted on social media. Another thing, another thing we're doing is we're partnering with the Illinois Native Plant Society to do 2 virtual programs and 6 in-person hikes, again, as long as we can. The virtual programs will be Basic Botany for Birders. It's alliteration there. And yeah, that one. And then and vice versa. I don't know what that one's about, but we'll see. Those will be in April. And then the 6 hikes will feature expert bird and botany guides in search of birds and plants at Big Marsh, LaBagh, and Orland grassland. So this is really exciting for me because, you know, habitat is such an important part of finding birds and trying to ID them. So you want to know your trees and shrubs and other plants. So this is great. We're going to be doing Plover Watch again, as long as they come back, fingers crossed. The call for volunteers will be on the Chicago Piping Plovers website in April and May. If you already volunteered, if you previously volunteered, you'll be contacted directly. but the 2 years have been amazing, and Chicago's just so lucky to have this nesting pair. So if you haven't gotten involved in this already, it's a really great thing to get involved with. And the last thing that we're so happy about is we're doing a new birding mentor program. So we'll pair beginning to advanced birders, any skill level, with the appropriate mentor to help you improve your birding skills in general, or if you want to work on a specific topic, like getting better at IDing gulls or shorebirds. And you can choose to work remotely or in person. So mentors and mentees will also be able to choose specific demographics about each other. And the way we're going to do this is by filling out a survey to help match folks up. So look for this sometime in February, but yeah, we're really excited about all this stuff. So thanks a lot.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Aaron. I think we're all especially excited about this mentorship program, especially because that relates to the survey that we mentioned at the very beginning of the program. That was one of the big themes that came out that you guys told us you wanted more of, was opportunities to get more in-depth learning about, well, your local birds. So we're hoping that this will be a fantastic new program to really kind of start filling that gap. All right, so as my understanding, I think we've got one more round of trivia here, correct?
Yes, we do. So go ahead and bring it up, Lindsay, and good, fire away. So, all right. Well, everyone knows that Montrose is the #1 eBird spot in Cook County, and actually Illinois, and probably in the Midwest, if not one of the top in the country, with over 340 species. What is #2 as far as species count? So as a reminder, go ahead, throw your guesses or answers in the chat. Give everyone a couple of minutes here. All right, well, it looks like quite a few people are getting it. Jackson Park, that is correct. You know, the one tricky thing with Jackson Park is that it's kind of been split into 63rd Street Beach and Jackson Park, so that kind of depresses its numbers a little bit, but I don't think even if you combine all that, that it'd get close to Montrose. But Jackson Park, if you haven't been, it's a wonderful place to bird. So getting a little pop culture trivia question here. In the Pixar movie Finding Nemo, what is the name of the pelican who helps Nemo to freedom? So let's see how everyone here knows their Pixar movies. I know I'm biased. I have a 3-year-old, so the Pixar movies are fresh in my my mind here, but there's got to be some other Finding Nemo enthusiasts out there. See, Jeff knows all about the movie there. All right, well, not getting a whole lot of answers here, so we won't belabor this question. Had to throw a couple of hard ones in there. Nigel, the Australian pelican there. So, all right, let's go to the next question. Given that we just inaugurated a new president yesterday, I thought some presidential bird trivia would be appropriate. So President Theodore Roosevelt kept a checklist for birds seen in DC and on the White House grounds. What are the modern names of these birds on his checklist? Thistlebird, bush sparrow, snowbird, and summer yellowbird. So let's see. We'll let some guesses come in here. Yeah, it seems like most people are getting snowbird being junco, so that is correct. Let's see. It looks like people are doing pretty good on summer yellowbird. That is in fact yellow warbler. Thistlebird, I did see a couple of people put in goldfinch, and that American goldfinch is correct, but I don't think I've seen a correct answer for bush sparrow yet. So Lindsay, if you want to go ahead and bring it up. That is field sparrow, remarkably. That one threw me for a loop too, but yeah, so, you know, names have changed over time, but think that's I think Audubon actually has that list on their website, or it might be National Park Service. But yeah, so let's go to the next one here. What is the oldest verified age of a wild Canada goose? Yeah, I think it's sometimes tough for us to understand what birds' lifespans are, because a lot of birds are kind of only here for a short period of time. So I think it's interesting. We see individual birds like the prairie falcon in central Illinois that come back, and so we have some semblance of its lifespan, but it seems like people are generally getting the right range here. And I think I've seen one correct answer. So Lindsay, why don't we go ahead and fire away while people are putting the guess in? At least 33 years old. However, a captive Canada goose lived to be 43 years old. So Dan Laurie, nicely guessed. And Jeff Bilski get it as well too? No? Okay, Dan's the winner. All right. The introduction of this bird took place in Long Island, New York in 1939, and has since become one of the most populous birds on the continent. What bird is it? And for a bonus question, where was the introduced birds where were the introduced birds trapped? I see a lot of people putting their answers in. All right. Give just another couple of seconds here. Nice, Aaron, accusing Steve of introducing birds. So, all right, Lindsay, go ahead, give us the answer. It is, in fact, the house finch. I know for a lot of us, it's weird to think of house finches as a introduced species, but they're a Western U.S. native. And they were escaped from a pet store in Long Island after being trapped in Santa Barbara, California. They resided for a few years on Long Island and then eventually escaped to the mainland and spread to now where they're one of the more populated birds in the US. So let's see, I think, was that the last one, Lindsay? All right, well, I'll turn it back over to Edward.
Thank you so much, Carl, for that. Almost all those questions threw me for a loop for sure. So we're just going to wrap up the program here. Just a couple of last little things. We are going to get to the COS 2020 Bird of the Year. But if you don't mind, I'd just like to take a quick moment here to be real with you guys. And it's just thank you. I am coming up on the end of my first year as president of COS. I started birding with COS Birdwalks when I was 7 years old, and I've been sort of involved in various forms ever since then. So obviously, having grown up and worked with and lived with COS and birds, this is certainly not how I expected to be addressing all of you guys through this virtual medium. I was obviously hoping and expecting that 2020, like everybody else, would be a normal year, and then we would come to December and we'd all be at Eris Brewing or some other location, sharing a drink and some food and handing out our awards in person without masks on. But here we are. And I just really want to say to everybody here this evening, whether you're a member, whether you volunteered or something, thank you so much for everything that you've done to make all of this possible. Because we have been tremendously flexible. We've been enthusiastic. We've been hopeful through all of it. And, for me, this and anybody else on this board, taking challenges this year could have easily been demoralizing as hell. And so being able to get out here and do this volunteer work and continue to engage with you guys and learn about birds and have fun along the way has been really powerful and meaningful. So again, just a big thank you to everybody in this community and our members who have just been along with the ride, with us here. I really appreciate that, and it really means a lot to me. And I hope that going forward, we'll never have to do this again. But in the meantime, thank you for making it possible and allowing us to sort of keep this interest in this flame alive. So without further ado, I want to throw out there some thank yous, but the moment you've all been waiting for, let's be real, we've just been spending the last 2 hours to get to this moment here. what is the 2020 COS Bird of the Year? And I've got my list. We had 8 contestants, and oh boy, was this a close one. So I'm going to build the suspense here by starting from the bottom up. Now, all of these birds were picked by our select committee because of the sort of splash that they made in 2020, and it was up to you guys to vote basically which one do you think made the biggest splash in 2020. So starting down with 5% of the vote, Northern Cardinal. Sure, common bird, we see it every year, but I mean, come on, that's a bird that always makes a splash no matter what the circumstances are, right? Okay, 8% of the vote. Evening grosbeak. I mean, talk about an eruption splash, right? That's a big one that's really came out of left field at the very end of the year here. 8%, great kiskadee. Again, where on earth did that come from? Total left field, end of year bird there, but a lot of people, it stuck around for a while. A lot of people got to see it and really enjoy that species. Obviously, that was a lifer for me. I'm not even much of a chaser, but I saw that report and I was like, oh man, I've gotta. 9% of the vote, yellow-billed cuckoo. Again, a bird we see around here every year, but this spring and summer in particular seemed to be a banner year for them. They were everywhere. 12% of the vote, yellow warbler. Again, common bird, we see it every year, but again, what a splash of a bird to see. And darn it, what did Roosevelt call it again? Summer yellow bird. So definitely a fan favorite across generations and decades and years and presidents. In tying 12% of the vote again, cerulean warbler. Fantastic bird, made a big splash by a pair hanging out at LaBagh for quite a long period through the spring. And that brings us to our second place bird. These two birds were separated by 3 votes, our winner and our second place bird here. So virtual drum roll, please. Number 2 was northern saw-whet owl. No, go ahead, Lindsay. You let it out of the bag now, which means our number 1 winner with 24% of the vote was piping plover. And it seems that even after they are long gone, Clover mania is still very alive and well in the Chicago community. So thank you to everybody who voted and also by extension contributed to COS. All of the funds that went into the voting and adopting a bird for this Bird of the Year competition will be going directly to our conservation projects that you heard about here this evening. So shout out to piping plovers. Thank you all so much for participating in this. And I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up with a quick set of thank yous here. All right, there we go. Nathan, go ahead and take it away real quick.
Yep, just wanted to do another quick thank you to our sponsors. Just going down the line, we have various opportunities that we're going to be offering for COS members only. If you're not a member, join COS. The link is in the chat. But basically, Cornell Lab of Ornithology Bird Academy is going to be offering 20% discount off of all of their courses, regardless of price. There's a special member code that you're going to have to be a member to receive. Imperial Oak Brewing also offered a 25% discount off of all to-go beer. That was up until this event, so hopefully you were able to get there. Red Hill Birding will be offering 2 free hats to any COS member who fills out the form that Josh is going to be putting in the chat momentarily. Eris Brewery and Cider House is going to be providing COS members with a free 5-ounce Eris-made liquor, whether cider or beer, with the purchase of food. Dine-in only. There's going to be more details on that coming in an email. And Wild Birds Unlimited in Glenview is going to be offering throughout the year of 2021 various in-store discounts, but you've got to be a COS member to get them. So keep an eye out for that. And just so that you guys can go over here, in the chat, you're going to see a link to Red Hill Birding's COS form. Looks like Josh is also working to send that, but go fill that form out and you could be the winner of one of his awesome hats. And back to you, Edward.
Thank you, Nathan. So I'm going to go ahead and end it here with just a quick thank you to, first of all, our speakers. Thank you all so much to everybody here who took some time this evening to put together PowerPoints and just coordinate with us to make this whole event happen. So thank you to all of our speakers this evening for taking part in this event and making it the awesome event that you guys just all participated in. Thank you. I'd also like to give a special shout out to Lindsay, who has been our slide master through this whole program here. She's the one responsible for putting together the majority of these beautiful slides you saw this evening here, and has just been scrolling through for us while we get to just sit over here and do all the talking. So thank you, Lindsay, our tech master and super baller boss board member. Thank you so much. I'd also like to give a quick shout out to Nathan, who was the mastermind behind this whole program and pulled together all the pieces and the speakers and the ideas and actually, you know, made this annual meeting a reality. Thank you so much, Nathan. And then finally, yeah, to you guys, for all of you who joined us this evening for this event. Like I said, I hope we never have to do this again, but for what it's worth, I really appreciate you guys spending this evening with us. I hope you enjoyed it, you learned something, and just generally had a good time with us this evening. We really look forward to joining you guys in the new year, whether that's on hikes or any number of the programs we talked about here. And I really hope to meet every single one of you that I haven't already met, or if I have, on the birding trail at some point. Follow us on our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever. You will get all of your regular updates about what we're doing on those platforms. And without further ado, have a great evening, everybody. Have a good night, and I will see you in the new year. End recording.